Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another installment of Divine Truth News. In today's episode 3, I'm joined with my wonderful brother, Galactic Clyde. How you doing, brother?
Yes, I'm good. Seven. I'm good. I'm good. Yes.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I just want to tell you a little bit about Brother Clyde before I hand over to him and our topic for today's installments. He's an astrologer, a writer, a metaphysician. He is a master at sacred geometry. He's a community leader and activist, herbalist, and he is an awesome brother. Take it from me. Greetings, brother. This brother has saved my life. I don't know how many times. This brother is such a beautiful soul, and I'm just so grateful and divinely gifted to have connected with this brother. We've got some magical synchronicities along the path, but we're not going to get into that today. Today's topic is one that is really interesting, actually. It is the movie Avatar. We're going to be breaking down the movie Avatar 2 and its significance, its spiritual significance. And, it basically, from what I can see, the events in that movie are pretty much depicted or depicting, should I say, what is happening and playing out on the world stage today. And so I want to hand over to our brother. How you doing, brother? And
Mm.
this is going to
Yes,
be
thanks for
a
that.
wonderful, wonderful show. I always enjoy speaking with you. So,
Yeah.
what inspired you to want to take on this topic today, this movie?
Well, I watched the first Avatar and interesting. I watched the second one and I thought, well, this is really a load of nonsense that they're pushing through, especially with a powerful name that they're using, the Avatar. Because I
Okay.
do understand what the Avatar mean, what is an avatar from both the Indian perspective where the name come from and also coming from an African perspective in connection to the term avatar.
So break that
We may not,
down, Avatar. What does it mean? And for people
yeah.
that might not have picked up on that.
Well, the avatar really means the manifestation of God in man, really,
Okay.
or what we would consider a spiritual man or man who was actually where a man whose divinity or divine essence has taken over and operating in that person's life as what is called a deity. So
Okay.
that's the avatar, and we know that the next avatar, in connection to the avatar as it in its original where it come from in connection to India, the next avatar would be it's called Kalki. Is the next avatar which is set to be on the world stage.
Okay. When
Yes,
you say, can you say that again? Culty.
Kalki, Kalki. This is
Okay.
the next
Kalki.
avatar of Vishnu, which is set to be on the world stage.
Okay, now
Yes.
from what I can see of the movie, I mean, for anybody, this is a spoiler alert, but we're not going to give you too much of the movie plot, etc. This is really breaking down the spiritual significance, as you will be aware now, that the Divine Truth News, we look at the current day world events and news stories, and we look at them from a spiritual, divine perspective. Now, obviously, the movie Avatar, although the people are depicted as blue, and in the new movie, they also have people that are depicted as green. And however, we know that these are indigenous people. This is us. Who they are portraying is us, the indigenous people across the world. That is what is depicted in the Avatar movie. Would you agree with that, brother?
Well, I think that the color, I was thinking that the first when I watched the first movie,
Because they have
but they
cane rows. Remember, they have cane rows, locks.
yes, I was thinking that when they dropped the first movie, but in the second movie, I get to realize the plot. The blue is not they. It's a deception to make you think that they're actually linking with the avatar of India or the avatar system as it known. But what I realized in watching the second movie, it's not about the blue in connection to the blue people or the dark people in connection to the avatar system as what it originally represent. But the blue is actually the navy blue. It's all about the navy.
Okay, all right. So that's interesting because you know Malachi Z. York, he talks about us as green people, anybody from the Nuapian nation, and shout out to my Nuapian brothers and sisters, will know that it's very well documented that Malachi Z. York, who's a great scholar, spoke very much that our original form was not actually as we are today, but actually our skin was green and blue and all these things. So you don't see that as a depiction of us. You're seeing that as a metaphorical message in respect of imperialism. Is that where
It's imperialism. It's the military. It's the military. It's the scientific community. It's the medical community, but mainly dealing with the Marines in connection. Because if you go back to the second movie, you would see how they praise the Marines in that movie, and you know the color for the Marines is blue, navy
okay?
blue. That is their color. And so what happens is somewhat of a deception because they're using the word avatar, but they're actually not referring it. The movie have nothing to do with the avatar or avatar system. What I see the movie is what actually dealing with the CGI, which is a computer generated imagery,
Mhm.
which is what they're looking to do in the world of merging humanity or humans with computer. And so it's more of a CGI. Now, let's say in African ancient history, and even to now, what we would do, our ancestors were doing, we merge humanity with nature, and so you would see a lot of the crafts and art depicting um, image of human as tree trunks and things like that in terms of African mask and statue. This was merging to show the connection with nature and humanity. Yes, but what we're seeing here in the movie is a connection with a computerized system, which they actually want to roll out in terms of what they're doing with computer in aligning. I'm sure you're familiar with the book by Carswell talking about when computer overtake the brain power of the human. I have the book. Actually, I should have it out there, out
What's the
here.
book called?
Um, the book is about calls call computer. What's the original title? The subtitle is about when computer taking over our brain power, meaning where would be more where
AI
would be more,
orientated,
yes, yes,
artificial intelligence kind of.
yes, it's about artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence, what he's alluding is his book that artificial intelligence will be more intelligent than us. But that don't make sense because if
Absolutely.
artificial intelligence is actually a program from our intelligence, then it cannot be more intelligent than us. The only thing that it can be more in an organized setting by an institution who have the control of a totality. But computer, we know, don't have no original thought. So anything that they've come out, they have, it's all a program. And it's a program from the human standpoint, nothing original
Oh,
in
yeah,
that sense.
absolutely. I mean, I was watching a video, I think I sent it to you, and there is an emphasis on artificial at this moment in time. Everything is gearing towards humanity being, you know, artificial in one way or another. So is that kind of what you're seeing in this movie, or
Well,
in
yeah,
regards to that particular point?
yeah. When we hear this humanity being artificial, we think it's something new, but it's not something new. It's part of our long-term history because man always create from an aspect of himself. When we make fire is we have fire within, we have fire without.
Mhm.
We have our teeth, all the tools that we use for cutting, the saws and all that are made from the aspect of our teeth in that sense. The camera is made from, so the intelligence is always, men always seek to advance himself and an outward, you know, um, manifestation in that sense. It's nothing new. The only thing that is at speed up in what we would consider computer technology. We always have some way of computing technology in that sense, but now it becomes more of the in thing that we think that is something new in that sense. No, it's something more highlighted and it's something more electronic. But always in ancient world, we have the blender. When the elder realize they get their teeth fall out and they need a way of eating, they had to create something where the food is chewed for them by whether is the mortar and press and mortar and
Yes,
the
yes,
mortar and
yes,
pestle, yeah, where it's
yes,
used to grind the food, where we used to grind the food at a younger age. As you get older, you have to create something to help deal with the deficit that you have in old age. And so always technology is all about the inside or ways of men trying to improve themselves in connection to survival. Yes,
yes. Well,
but
that's how it
but
has been traditionally, but obviously there is a darker side that we
yeah,
are
well,
seeing play now.
yeah,
So let's
yeah.
get back to the movie now. So what was your point that you picked up on in this movie? What was it that brought you to want to discuss this topic today?
Well, when I think about how much money, I think I sent you the write-up about how much money it's been spent. I don't want to come off the screen to explain the amount of money that's spent to make this movie.
Yes,
You
let
know,
me
this,
just one
yeah,
second. I will
yeah,
just give me a second.
yeah,
I will pull up your
yeah.
write-up.
I'll touch on it, but the
Um,
month, yeah,
just let me just read what you wrote.
yes, yeah, that would be good if you can read it
Let's
because
see.
I don't.
Yeah, because apparently this is one of the most expensive movies ever made. Um, let's see.
And so we have to ask why, and we have to ask what's the message in the message
Is
behind the message.
280 million, or what's it, 310 million for production, 150 million for promotion, and yeah, I mean, in terms of the advertising. So basically, a vast amount of money has been spent on groundbreaking special visual effects, um,
Okay,
and costumes, etc. I mean, it's probably one of the most
yeah.
expensive movies ever produced.
Yeah.
Now,
If you can read what I sent to you after I watched the movie, if you want to read how I sent to you and why I said it's important for us to have this talk in
yes, I
connection.
mean, it's
Yeah.
okay. We can talk about it. Let me just. I've actually. Okay, what a waste of money for a movie whose message is about destruction and negative carbon footprints, which is interesting because it plays into the whole climate change
Mm-hmm.
um, thing that they're actually going to be pushing. Because obviously, what they wanted to achieve with Corona and the whole COVID fiasco, they didn't. Obviously, vast amounts of people we know have died.
Mm-hmm.
However, the new one, which tells you clearly that it was never about health, it was about basically putting people in servitude, in bondage, in slavery, and bringing about absolute mass destruction, which is very timely. If you look at what's playing out on the world events, if you look at my last two videos, I highlight the lockdowns, climate change lockdowns, and also the fact that we are a dot away from Nazi Germany if people do not start getting it and start using their power, taking our power back to say no to this whole construct. So when I read your write-up, it's very interesting because you say a message about destruction and negative carbon footprints.
Mm-hmm.
This is a movie about foolish scientists, biologists, and all-out destructive military evil superpower. Avatar was officially budgeted at 237 million, Due to groundbreaking array of new visual effects, Cameron achieved cooperation with Vita Digital in Wellington. One estimates put the cost between 280 million and 310 million for production, and as I said before, 150 million for promotion. Going into the Aquarian age, there needs to be better movie on the big screen to affect the kind of societies we want to be and to accomplish. The Avatar movie is disgraceful to the true meaning of what an avatar is
Yeah.
and what an avatar represents. The
Mhm.
great big thumbs down for you. This movie, The Avatar, should be considered the Nevatar,
Yeah.
meaning humanity will never grow spiritually, learning foolishness. Good people should always critique evil and encourage endless goodness.
Yeah.
That's thank you for your very outspoken, no no how do you say, basically you're not taking any prisoners with that assessment on how the movie was. So let's get
Yes.
into it, because it's interesting that you're highlighting that there is a whole carbon footprint element with it, because there's two sides to this. Because what I saw, I would like to bring into the equation as well. um because with all man's technology, the reality, the spiritual world would always be more powerful, and that is
Yes.
depicted in this movie, definitely. So let's talk about what you
The-
felt in. How did you pick up on the carbon? Because I never even picked that up during the
Well, look at the movie. Start out with the family, the blue people in the woods whose
spoiler
accent,
alert, by the way, people.
yeah, whose accent actually resembles South African accent with the concept of ICU, and so that says a lot, yeah.
Yes,
But you see that there was a raid on their peaceful village,
yes,
yes, and the raid was they dynamite and bomb the place out that they had to move towards higher ground. You
right.
see that in the movie, and so
So
that's part of the beginning of the second movie, and
okay,
that is negative carbon footprint. And we must realize that in we based on the information that we got, the most what they call it, destruction and carbon footprint, or the most pollutant in carbon footprint is the military. The
absolutely.
military,
And they want to push cl climate lockdowns with these
yeah,
15-minute cities. And I encourage you to see my previous two videos and share them. They want to push this whole concept of climate change and locking people into cities when it is not the people who is
right.
bringing
It's
about the
more of the
destruction.
militaries who are the polluters, are the great polluters on the planet in connection to carbon footprint, and so we need to watch that. But it also what also so that shows the military from, because you got different types of military, the land, and you also have the Marines, which is the sea. So you see both there, because when you started to see how they polluted the land, going after the people because they said they needed new territory. And so what
Yes.
they do, they were bombing the whole place, even though
Which
they
is
need
what
new
they're
territory.
planning
They
to
don't,
do right now. This is what
yeah,
is actually fixing to happen, people.
yeah,
And they always show you in Operation Mockingbird, they always show you what the plan is. And we
yeah,
know that this plan is really, it's against everybody who's good in humanity, but particularly the indigenous people of the world. That who
right,
is it is who they're after. But anybody who represents goodness, divinity, this is what they're out to all out destroy. And this movie shows that clearly. So
yes,
my brother, go. So basically
yeah,
you're saying that the military, and as far as the movie was depicting, it was going around, and I found it very disturbing. It was just
it is
complete
disturbing.
destruction, bombs, warfare. And that is what they're fixing to do right now. It's no
Yes.
coincidence.
But then you have to look at how the technology is being used, because you see, one of the things that when we think about the military, we don't think about the medical industry, and we don't think about the scientific community in connection. But they are the soft target. They're the ones that are actually the first line in connection to the destruction of other nations or other people, because the what they call it, the scientific goes in and study and study and study and relate the thing back to the board, back to base. Yes,
Mm.
the medical community goes and study and relate back, and so they now got first-hand knowledge of how the people live, and then find out how they can tackle those people. Now you see
Well,
the
what's the end game though? Why is
yeah.
it that they want to destroy them? Let's just examine that. What is it? Why are these people hell bent on destruction?
Well,
You're breaking up a bit, brother. You're breaking up a bit, your signal.
dying, or they
Can
they're
you
on a
hear
dying
me?
planet and
Can
they
you
need a new
still hear
territory.
me?
Yes, I could hear you, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, but your internet was, you were broken up. So
Okay,
if you'd like to
let me
just
repeat. Yes,
repeat what you were
yeah.
saying.
They made it clear in the movie that their territory or their planet is dying and they need new territory. But they don't need a new territory where they can negotiate with the people in the area, because there was none negotiating. You
That's
understand?
right. It was
They wanted
pure
it to take it
terrorism.
by force.
It was terrorism,
It was
bullying,
taken by force.
terrorism, and
Yes.
absolute out and out destruction, which is what is fixing to happen under the guise of warfare on World War III. And we're talking
Well,
about potential nuclear power right now, which is
well,
very dangerous because we know that they've just taken out various different bases, grids, and the whole system is being grinded to a halt right now, as you will see in my previous videos. So
mhm.
you
You said
saw that.
fixing to happen. You said fixing to happen, but remember, as they said, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and that goes for all fruits anyway. Yeah, as much as we use that for the apple. But remember, this is a history of a people who are writing, which is blasphemy, the destructive part, which is very negative, and also using the concept of a high concept as the avatar would be considered, in the biblical term, blasphemy, or would be considered a really an offense to the divine or divinity. It is an offense, because it's almost like they're telling on themselves in terms of the path of destruction, but
Mm,
they have no remorse.
absolutely. And it's very interesting, brother, because um when you posed the idea of us discussing the movie Avatar, I was in the middle of reading a book which you actually gave to me, and it was given to you by Sister Rosanna. And shout out to Sister Rosanna for this book. But the book
Oh yes,
itself is called The Children of
of
Blood and
blood and
Bone.
bone. Yes, yes.
Now, the interesting thing about this book, because it crosses similar themes to is touched upon by the Avatar. Now, it's the actual, it's got a sort of slogan, if you like,
They
at
killed
the
my
back.
mother. They
And it
took my
says, they
magic.
killed my mother. They
Yeah,
took our magic. They tried to bury us. Now we rise. And
yes, yeah.
that message is extremely poignant when we're examining this whole movie, The Avatar, and also the timing. Because remember, if we rewind a little bit to just before they brought in Corona, they did the event 201, okay, which was in October. I believe it was something like the 18th of October in 2029. Sorry, 2019, 2029, 2019. And then basically within 3, 4 months, it was rolled out all over the world. Okay. And we spent 2 years where they put into place an exercise which was designed to bring about slavery. And I'm saying this specifically because when we talk about astrology, and we want to bring the astrological side of this into the equation here. Now, once again, in October, this time 2022, on the 23rd of October, they've rolled out another Event 201, exactly as they did pre-COVID. Now, for this climate change lockdown that they're planning to do, because you see, they got drunk on
Sorry,
power with the first
sorry.
lockdown. They managed to give people the okie doke. People bought it hook, line, and sinker, while they had nurses dancing in empty hospitals, whilst they were partying and they were driving around while everybody was literally being, you know, sped, just fed this complete and utter lie and misconception and a whole blown out of proportion situation, which was all manufactured. That situation cannot be utilized anymore. So now they're doing it with climate change, notwithstanding the fact that they have more cars than the average person, because we're talking about billionaires who have got drunk on power, who have become drunk on terrorism, domestic terrorism. That has been the weapon of choice as far as controlling the people. So it's very interesting, this point, brother, but just bear with me a second while I make this very important point for you to pick up on now, and to pick up from, I should say. Now, they've got this climate change situation that they're saying that, oh, because of climate change, we need to lock you down into gated communities where you cannot move 15 minutes from your house. People will no longer be able to have gardens. People will no longer be able to have cars. People will no longer, this is a situation, what they're trying to do is maneuver humanity into a position of checkmate, because once they get you into that trap, it's finished. You will no longer be able to have the free world and society as we once know it. Basically, their system is crumbling. They're fully aware of it. They've done so much destruction. They've done so much death and destruction, which is very, very depicted in this movie. And it's interesting because in this book here, it has a very similar theme. Now, in this particular movie, brother, and you've read this, haven't you?
I've not fully finished it, but I'm
Okay.
going through it. I'm going through it. I haven't completed,
Okay.
but
Well,
I've reached a good way in the book.
okay. So there's a section in this movie, sorry, in this book, which I believe is going to be a movie as well. It's by Tommy Adeyemi. Okay, we have
Mm.
10 minutes, but then we're going to continue to part two. But this particular book, and it's very interesting because what they show is that there are people in this book who are known as diviners. And once upon a time, they were known as the Magi. And the Magi are people who have spiritual powers. They are essentially we as Indigenous people. And the powers that be in this particular movie, their moniker, it's a monarchy, it's based in a place called Orishan. And so basically, the people of that time, 11 years previous, were known for their spiritual powers. And these spiritual powers were very, very, very feared. They were very feared. And in fact, there's an interesting person that I want to talk about as we proceed. But basically, in that particular movie, there are, or book, I keep saying movie, I know it's going to be turned into a movie, I understand, but right now it's the book. Um, what they were saying was they were terrified. They were terrified of the rise of these indigenous people. So much so that they went all out to do death and destruction. And it was ordered by the powers that be, which was the monarchy of that particular age, to go and absolutely wipe out anybody that was from those people. So basically, anybody who had any resemblance of spiritual ability, spiritual power, whereby they would no longer be able to manipulate and control as they have been doing. Now, you spoke about the destruction going into this particular Pandora, this avatar world of Pandora. And symbolically, it's very, very much what is playing out because we have been defined as a people as minorities and minors, basically lower than children. This is how they refer to us as a people, okay? And we know that there is absolute hatred and fear. It's based on fear of not being able to be dominant. It's based on having committed so many atrocities over the ages against us as a people, exploitation, slavery, abuse, horrific genocide to us as a people. And the fear that these people, as it is written at this particular time, will once rise again. Because right now, as you will tell us, as far as astrology is concerned, it shows that their end is finished. Their age is finished. We're in the age of Aquarius. We've moved from the Piscean age. So
Yeah. Let
this
me come in
is
there.
the
Let me come in.
fear. This is the fear, brother. So
Yeah,
what
let me
say
come in
you?
before he ends. Let me come in before he ends. The
We
first.
come back again. Yeah.
Yeah, because we talk about they, but you know, I'm coming from a school of men like Steve Coakley. We talk about naming the name. So let's talk about who the theys are. Yeah. So
Yes.
that we're clear, that people are clear what we're talking about. We're talking about the New World Order people, such as the Bilderbergs, yeah,
Yeah.
such as the Illuminati, such
Yeah.
as certain factions of the Masonics, because I would say
Yes.
certain factions for a particular reason,
Yes.
yeah. We're talking about trilateral commissions, and you know these are the people who are part of the secret order, according to Bill Cooper, who was a Marine, yeah. Bill
Mm,
Cooper in his book, Behold the Pale Horse.
that's right.
Yes. And that book he wrote while he was a Marine, and a lot of information he got while he was in the Marines.
Right. Right. And it's
Yes.
interesting that the actual new movie is called The Way of the Water,
Yes. So
the Avatar 2. Yes.
replay that again so people can get there if they're not familiar with the book. It's called Behold the Pale Horse by Bill Cooper. And
That's
he
right.
named the names as to who are the players or major players in the world of corruption.
Yeah. And UK, unfortunately, everybody is got a major hand, and that is who has been running the biggest targeting, one of the biggest crime syndicates. Virgin is one of them. They have been in control of the NHS. Most people are not aware of it. They've been looking at Bill Gates and all of these people, but they're not aware that the NHS was taken over by a crime syndicate known as Virgin. And so do your homework, people, because it's always the people that you don't see behind the scenes. These are the crime syndicates behind BlackRock. You know, we've got a whole network of criminal people. It's a conglomerate, like our beautiful brother here has said. And it's important for us to identify who are these people. And 19 years ago, when I was targeted, I learned who these people are firsthand. And unfortunately for me, they haven't let me forget it because I've been terrorized by them for the last 19 years, like many of you. So, brother, before we take a break from part one and come back for part two, from your point of view, are there similarities to the what William Cooper spoke about in his book Beyond the Pale Behold a Pale Horse? Are you still
Well,
with us?
he actually in the book he laid out because yes, I'm here. Can you hear me? Can
Yes,
you hear me?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
We've
First,
got 3 minutes before we end
let
for part one.
2 minutes. Let me just backtrack on the date. You mentioned the date February, October 23rd.
Yes.
That's the birthday of someone who just passed, Pele.
Sorry,
You know
Pele.
that sports.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's his birthday.
Wow. October the
I checked it
23rd.
last night. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
interesting. The game changer, the game changer. Yes, the game
Mm,
changer. So that's a very interesting synchronicity, you know, for people to chew on, I should say for now.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
sure people that do gematria will be able to find a lot of different synchronistic events and numbers and codes that most of myself, I'm not familiar with the code of gematria. Are you?
Yes, I'm familiar with some aspects of geometry. Geometry, yes. Geometry actually you find this in the whole document. I did a whole connection to show the geometry with Tupac, Biggie Small, and what is called York. It shows all the whole code of geometry is right there within the names of Tupac, Biggie Small, and the name that York used for his organization. So
When you say
Tupac is
York,
anagram.
you are you with
Dr. York. Dr. York, yes.
Malachi York?
Dr. York, yeah. Because
Yes.
geometry is coming from the whole Hebrew connection with the Jewish mysticism. And so you could analyze the geometry because Tupac is an anagram as the Biggie Small, yeah? You Tupac and Biggie Small, that's all geometry we're dealing with there. You know?
Okay.
The word and the word and number and anagrams. Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah. But that's for a later chapter, really.
Yes.
Yeah?
Okay.
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 So
So
should we take the break now before we get cut off and then come back again?
yes, so we're gonna take a break now, people, for part one. And please like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend about the Divine Truth News. And I'm here with Galactic Clyde, the awesome brother. And so please come back and join us for part two, where we'll be discussing in more detail the deeper significance to the movie Avatar, its timing of being released, and also the connections to what is going on the world stage, which should have everybody alarmed and absolutely making noise. So we'll see you when we come back for part two. Stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. See you on the other side,
Sure.
everybody. Take care.